All right. I think we gave enough time for the latecomers to jump on here. My name is Rob Valencius. I'm the National Agent Trainer here at Pinnacle Financial Services. Today, we're going to be talking about this is kind of a weekly webinar series that we're doing here, kind of a why Pinnacle. And this will be for both people who are with us and people who are looking to potentially join us, being right around the corner from AEB. We're going to be talking about really leads. So we're going to go over a couple of the different lead programs that we have, some of the stuff that has been working really well. And I will try to get you all in and out of here in under 30 minutes. So we'll try to keep this a short, quick hitter. And then, a couple housekeeping notes. I have you all in listen-only mode. So basically that means you cannot, ask me questions through audio. And we do that because it stops some of the unnecessary interruptions. That does not mean that you can't ask questions. However, we can certainly answer anything that you have through the chat box that you have in your go-to webinar. You can ask me questions at any time. I'd be happy to answer anything. If I feel like I'm going to hit it, then, sit tight and relax. And this is also being recorded. So if you have to jump out, I know we had some issues the last time I did this webinar with the recording aspect, but we're all good. So if you happen to jump out of here or you need to jump out of here, I would be happy to send you the link to get to the recording. So with that being said, let's get into this. So look, we're right around the corner from certification season, which is the kind of the preamble before AEP. It's kind of hard to believe that it's already here. So we're kind of in the lull right now, and I know a lot of people are looking for ways to generate business and, get some stuff in before the crazy busy season, or even prepare for the crazy busy season. So the couple things I'm going to show you before we get into the actual lead programs that I feel is really important with our website. The first thing is going to be our Medicare Toolkit. So the Medicare Toolkit is going to be really important for you in about a month, and I guess we're about 6 weeks out before the AHIP launches for the new year. This is going to have every single company, as well as how to do their certifications, where to go. I mean, if we just click on, we'll just take a look at Independence Blue Cross. It tells you where they can be accessed. We link out everything. It tells you your default password for 2023. Blue Cross is a little weird. They kind of do some different things. Let's take a look. So you got Humana. We also have the agent guide. So if we get agent guides and things like that, we put them all right here available for you. So this is going to be a really great resource for you for 2024 once we update everything, and we get these as we get them. I mean, we also even put the date. So keep in mind, I mean, AHIP is always the first, and then United Healthcare is always the first main carrier that launches their certifications. And then we have all these other smaller carriers. I mean, this is going to range from the end of June all the way through the end of August. So just kind of keep that in mind. Some of these smaller carriers don't release their certifications right away. So we will update all of this information as we get it. So it's going to be really important to kind of stay in touch with this website or this side of the page. First looks, we update as soon as we get them. They will start to roll in probably the end of June, early July, and that'll go through August as well. So a lot of the main carriers, especially Aetna, Humana, Anthem, WellCare, United Healthcare, will give us their kind of like their preliminary changes as well as additions to the current plans and new plans and what their footprint is going to look like for a lot of their plans. Now, a lot of times it's not approved yet, but it was submitted to CMS, and a lot of times they'll change their plans a bit to, kind of counter some of the stuff that their competitors are doing. But for the most part, we'll have a whole webinar series and things like that for these, but we'll try to post them as soon as we possibly can so that people can kind of plan for the new year. Any sort of, this is something a lot of people don't realize we have, but we do have a late enrollment calculator for both Part B and Part D. Now, you got to take this with a kind of a grain of salt because it is an estimate, but it's a nice thing to be able to do quickly. Like, your client has Net Part D for 15 months, then their late enrollment penalty is going to be around 491. So it's a really great thing to have on here. Should you have any, and I run into this probably at least once or twice a week with, I'm an agent myself, and I have people that always end up having some issues with, late enrollment penalties. So it's a nice quick way to be able to process those. HRAs, we're going to update these as we get them, but these are how to do them. We also put the amounts that you get paid as an agent. So it kind of talks about what they are, where to go, and how to go about accessing them. And hopefully we'll get even more this year than we had last year. If there's any FEMA, special election periods for, inclement weather and things like that, you'll be able to jump on there as well. I think actually, I want to say, Tennessee was one of the newer ones, but I forget which one just popped in the other day. So that's the Medicare toolkit. It's definitely going to be very prevalent shortly, and it kind of plays into the lead part because you always obviously want to prepare, especially in the Medicare space, on where you're going to attack. And, if you work in multiple states or maybe you work in multiple counties in and around your area, one county might have way better plans than the other. So you might want to focus more on that plan, or maybe there's an area that's not as saturated that's going to have a brand new plan that'll give you, some great opportunities. That's really going to help you. Let's talk a little bit about the TPMO rules. This is also important when it comes to the leads because they made a lot of adjustments. So obviously, if you're selling Medicare right now, 2023's final rule shook the whole industry up with call recording, things that you have to say on the recording. They have new kind of regulations with lead pieces, and they made our lives very difficult, all of our lives. And it's not getting any better. So 2024 released April 5th. It's about a 750-page document. It's not fully set in stone yet. So as soon as we see the deck come out that's fully set, hopefully, look, we're doing everything we can to have agents pulled out of these regulations because a lot of them were there to stop a lot of the call centers that were doing some really shady things. And I'm sure everyone's familiar with all the commercials with sports figures and 70s and 80s actors and things like that. And what ends up happening is it defrauds a lot of people, and they make silly decisions or uneducated decisions because they're being pressured on the phone. And that's where a lot of these things have come from, the call recording especially. But it really impacted regular agents because all of the regulations for call centers, they had to record their calls anyway, right? So a lot of this had to hit the regular guy, the regular agents. And look, it wasn't fun. Now, we offer enrollment platforms. They have recording involved with them. We offer 3 different platforms with our Connect for Medicare online enrollment system. The recording's okay. It's not great, but it's free. I use Ring Central. That's, not something Pinnacle endorses, but as an agent, I just found that Ring Central is probably the easiest one to use. That does not mean that, you can't use it, but it's the one that I always recommend to people. But this is going to have all of the updates. It's going to tell you, I use this page every day for the required disclaimer, but any sort of, final things from CMS or clarification from the carriers, we will have all of that up available as we get it. So we will be updating this probably within the next month as soon as we get all the concrete information. So stay tuned for this. But this has a huge impact if you are trying to generate business, right? Because they have some crazy stuff now that you have to have on lead pieces. And now the carriers have to approve all the pieces, not just CMS. So if you want to create a piece from scratch without using, say, Jarvis's toolkit or Aetna's Ascend or whatever, Think Agent now is what they use. But you're talking 3 to 4 weeks at least for approval, and their approval process is awful. It's so bitter, so black and white, and you cannot really say a lot of things that you want to say on these pieces, or at least anything you'd be able to get away with even a year or two ago. I've been doing this for 8 years. 8 years ago, you could say, a lot of stuff that you can't say now on pieces. And there's so many disclaimers that you have on there. I could tell you Kevin Shields Jr., who's our compliance officer, his job over the past 2 years has gotten like 10 times worse because he's gone back and forth doing everything he can. And they're not just really kind of doing that with lead pieces, but websites, anything you're doing in your online communications. They're really hammering it home. So this is going to be very important for you from a lead perspective because it'll have all the regulations and you'll be able to kind of figure out what you're able to do from a lead piece perspective. Going forward, I probably recommend just using Jarvis or one of the other carriers and using pieces that are already approved because you're going to be able to use it right away. Most of these other things you're not going to be able to use. All right, let's get into the meat and bones of leads. Okay. Pinnacle has been working with a million different lead providers. We do everything from telemarketing to lists to retail, social media, direct mail, and look, everyone knows direct mail, right? If you've been selling Medicare or final expense or whatever, we're all very familiar with the BRC cards. That's really, it's been a staple of how insurance agents have gotten leads. However, over the past 2, 3, 4 years, returns on mailers is horrendous. Like 1% is typically a good return. I don't necessarily say I don't recommend it, but a lot of times, the mailers really, really only work at least well in the D-SNP and the C-SNP, so the dual and chronic special needs markets. That's where those tend to draw better than regular markets. You're talking turning 65, you're probably burning your money if you're doing 1,000-piece mailer. It's very, very difficult to compete in that space from a Medicare perspective. Normally, right now, we are talking a lot about retail. So, I know we have Aetna on here. Walmart is typically, you can see the dates on here. This is set up for last year. We're still waiting. There was talk of them kind of being hung up in the contract process, the company that kind of facilitates the Walmart retail. So we're still kind of in limbo. But normally we're like full steam ahead. People are picking all the stores they want to work, and it's kind of a go-go with that. So we're still kind of in a holding pattern. So hopefully stay tuned. If you get our blasts and things, we're going to definitely be hopefully hearing more about Walmart. But that's where a lot of people work during AEP. It's kind of a piece of what they do during annual enrollment, and we have agents that do very, very well in those stores if you have a decent location. Now, there is going to be other retail opportunities. Aetna, obviously they work with CVS, so there's going to be CVS opportunities. Acme, if you're down south, Kroger, Wegmans. There's going to be plenty of retail opportunities. So stay tuned. We're still kind of feeling out where, and I know there's going to be other community centers. Like we're working a lot with some of the other like value-based care facilities, and we think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities this AEP to work in different locations and kind of help facilitate and hopefully make up for some of the the lead opportunities that you would have got if you were doing direct mail or whatever. The retail is a great way to do that. 2-3 days a week, and kind of fills your lead pipeline, right? Because a lot of times you're not going to write them on the spot. It might be a week, it might be 2 weeks, could be 6 months. You never know. Our Turning 65 program on here, if anyone is looking to get a list, maybe you are calling for Medicare supplement products. Look, nobody likes cold calling. I did it for 5 or 6 years of my tenure here. It's not fun, especially if you're calling in the Northeast, because unfortunately we're not known as the nicest people on the phone, but it's always fun, and this will give you an opportunity to call for med subs. I do have agents that do very, very, very well sending out personalized flyers. It's a little bit more tedious, obviously, than direct mail. You have to buy stamps. You have to create labels, which if you do not know how to do that, I would be happy to teach anybody how to create labels through Microsoft Word. It's very easy. You can actually just buy label paper, it's specific label paper, and you can actually, instead of handwriting all the letters, you can literally just put, a sticker with the printout on there with the stamp. Makes your life a lot easier. But what's nice is it gives you kind of a dual attack. You can make phone calls and you can send out flyers, and you can send out the flyers however you like. You can be very personalized and put the person's name, or just kind of create a generic letter, print a bunch out, and send them out to people. That actually does pretty well. In some cases, it does better than direct mail because it's a little bit more personalized. But we can actually get you those lists anytime you want. You want 1,000 names, we'll get you 1,000 names. We'll be able to pull it, get it to you, typically within 24 hours, same day for the most part. So if any of you are interested, feel free to reach out to our sales team, support team, me. We'd be happy to do that for you. This is one that has been doing pretty well for us, and that's the LeadStar Marketplace. I don't know if any of you have Googled, Medicare leads lately, but it's been kind of popping up a lot lately. And they do a couple different things. So let's kind of take a look at their program. The cool thing about the marketplace itself is it kind of cuts us out of being the facilitator for your leads. So what that means is you have to be contracted with us. You have to be ready to sell for us. What we'll do is we get you into the program. You get a login, your username and password, and you put money into the system, and then you can purchase leads for Medicare and final expense, and some other products as well. But Medicare and final expense is kind of their big thing. They're compliant, so it's guaranteed compliance, which is great. They have a bunch of stuff going on with the CMS compliance, like built-in call recording and storage. Kind of keeps you to the point where all you need to worry about is selling. They have calls and exclusive data leads, and you could buy really however many you want, down to however little that you want. So it kind of gives you the ability to do a couple different things, but they get their leads from all over the place. They own multiple websites, so some of their data probably most of their data leads are from websites they own. So it's people putting in that they want more information. Those are always going to be the cheap ones. And then calls, and there's a couple different calls that they do, but they have so many things. And you can take a look here, on your own when you get into Pinnacle's website. If you're contracted with us, you get a login for this, whether you are certified or whatever. As soon as you're in the contracting process, you can log into this. So they kind of have a light CRM system here. There's two-way SMS notification. So, you get real-time exclusive data leads. It's sent directly to you. They have aged leads, which are always really cheap that you can work on. Some people do really well with the aged leads. And that kind of plays into, if you want to send out flyers and do different things, you kind of have all of that information there. This is what the costs look like. Okay, so if you're looking to get an inbound call, and those are typically very vetted calls, final expense is $48, Medicare is $60. If you're looking for a warm transfer, they're not as vetted as the other ones. They're a little bit cheaper. It's $39 for the final expense, and it's $42 for Medicare. And then if you're looking for just strictly data leads, like I said, that's typically social media, websites, things like that. $12 for final expense, $15 for Medicare. And they're real time. So as soon as someone fills that out, they're exclusive. It's not going to 15 people. It's going directly to you. You're going to get a text saying, hey, here's the information. So you can reach out right away. Typically, based on feedback from our agents, if you don't reach out within the first minute, it's going to be very difficult for you to close these exclusive data leads. You have to really be kind of in the zone, focused, and making the calls right away. That's if you're looking for a good ROI and closing ratio, you have to reach out to these people like right away. We did have a question. Is that per call? Yes, Mary, that is per call. Well, per lead, per lead. And look, you got to temper expectations, right? Um, Not every one of these is going to be a home run and an instant sale. You never know what you're going to get on the other line. We're dealing with seniors, so I would say sometimes it's best to try a little bit of everything and see what works, because some people are really good with data leads. Some people are really good with fresh calls or vetted calls. Some people don't like the calls vetted. So it really depends on you as a salesperson, what you're comfortable with. And you got to remember, I mean, if a really good closing ratio is 20 to 30%, you should be getting probably at least 10 to 15 of these for it to make sense. Now, I don't set your budget. I'm just trying to kind of give you a heads up on some of the feedback we get from our agents that are in this program and are working it. So, but I would try a little bit of everything, and you can dabble, or you can go full steam, because it's your platform when you're in there, and you can buy what you want, which is nice. So that is LeadStar. Like I said, that is a great program if you're looking to, if you like to have the control a little bit of how much you're getting, when you're getting it, and not having anyone in the middle. We can get you set up and get into the program, which is nice. Another question here from Linda: is there a minimum? I don't believe there's a minimum. I think in order to fund your account, there might be a minimum for you to fund the account. So it might be $100 or $200, I think. But I actually don't think there's a full-on minimum. So it's not like your standard, hey, you have to buy 20 or you have to buy 10. Because this is done on scale. So I'd imagine, you don't have to worry about that, which is good. You don't have to put in $1,000 right away. So it lets you kind of dabble and figure out what you want to do. Hopefully that answers your question, Linda. Social media leads, we do offer, plenty of different avenues for social media leads. Look, we've tried everything. I mean, we've tried Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I mean, we've tried a lot of it. Social media is tough. We do have a couple different companies if that's something you're interested in, that do different social media leads. But from a CMS and compliance perspective, it tends to open people up. I don't necessarily recommend them, but we do have agents that swear by them. So that is something that we do offer. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is seminar selling. So this is probably our best lead program out of everything, just based on return on investments, closing ratio, and overall putting butts in seats. So if you are comfortable with public speaking, and you're comfortable with your material, whether it's annuities or Medicare, there's no program it's second to none on here. But it's expensive, and I always like to be upfront. The program's going to cost you anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 to do, but I will give you this. So this company, they do a lot of the marketing for you. They send out mailers for you. Their lists are really good. Their mailers are actually pretty incredible. I think I actually got one randomly, or saw one randomly from, I want to say it was my mom's house, ironically enough. And they're really nice. They're personalized. But basically what they do is they work with you. You choose a venue. You offer a meal. And, it's a sales event. It's an educational event, but it's classified as a sales event. And, you can figure out your venue and what you want to do there. But we actually had so many people do this program, and, they might, like, we had an agent down in Philadelphia. He booked this, I think it was a diner or something, and he had 2 days, and they, did the marketing, they did everything. He actually had so many people sign up that he had to open a third day for all of the carryover. We're talking 40, 50, 60 people per day. So, I mean, not only does it build your lead pipeline, you're going to get sales. If you're good at what you're doing, you're going to get sales. And it's hands down, it's probably one of the best programs we have. It's just the cost up front can scare people. It's a little costly. And look, every area is a little different. The Northeast is going to be a little bit harder than Florida or Arizona, or whatever. So you just got to be prepared for that. But it's probably one of our best lead programs available. Let's see. Did I hear you correctly when you said offer a meal? Yes. So I think because the way it's classified, you can offer a meal. I believe I might have stated wrong in that I think it's an educational event, so you can actually serve meals at educational events because that was changed recently. You can't serve meals at sales events, but you do have to provide a meal. Technically you don't have to, but 9 out of 10 times these people are coming for a free meal. So your return on investment is much better. So a lot of times if the program is $2,000 or $2,200, it might be $500 or $600 total for whichever meal you're providing, wherever the venue is and where you're going. Is the price of the meal included or does it come out of our pocket? So I gave you a range because it depends on the venue and where you're going. So, obviously if you pick, Old Country Buffet, if that even still exists, it's going to be a little bit different than if you're going to, I don't want to say a steakhouse because that's probably going to outprice you, but it just depends on where you're going with the venue. And you get to choose. They don't choose that for you, which means you get to figure out what the meal is going to be as well. But I'm telling you, if you pick a decent place, and with this program, you can't just go online and Google it. You have to go into these places, take a look at them, make sure that, because pictures can be very deceiving with the internet. So you have to go in, you have to take a look at them, because we've had people do this program. They don't go in to physically see the place, and when they get there, it is not as advertised. So a lot of times you want to go to a place that you probably have been to or that and that you trust. Question. Do you have projectors, etc., for doing presentations? Also, does presentation happen before or after the meal? That's up to you. It's your event, so you can decide how you want to do it. We don't have projectors or anything. So a lot of times you work with the venue. The venue that you're renting will tend to have, maybe it's a meeting room that has a podium and a drop down with a projector and things like that. But a lot of times you're going to want to do the presentation probably before the meal, but you don't necessarily have to. But a lot of times you want to keep them in their seats and they're there for the free meal. So a lot of times you want to give your presentation before and probably a little during, because you want all eyes on you. You want people to pay attention, and you also don't want people to eat their meal and bounce in the middle of your presentation. And that's it. I always end with the seminar selling because I know we were going to get some questions on that. If it's something you're interested in, I would reach out to the sales team here. It is something you can also partner with. So maybe you work with another agent that is a friend of yours that you know locally, and you can split it. And look, if you're filling the room and that's 30 or 40 leads, if you're looking at a room full of 40 people and you're working with another agent and you each get 20 of them, we'll say if the average spend is, we'll say at most $3,000, that's $1,500 each. $1,500 for 20 leads is actually pretty good, especially qualified leads that are sitting listening to you do a presentation. A little different than doing, calls, warm transfer leads, data leads. It's a different type of lead. And if you're good at, presenting, it definitely helps. But it does help to have two people there. I will say that. rather than just yourself. So if you're with an agency or you have a friend or whatever, it does help. Let's see. Kathy, 3,000 for seminar, filling the seats, then how much for the meal? Seems rates have gone up so much. I see 40 to 50 each. Is this what you have found? No, a lot of the times it's not. 3,000 is like the top. I mean, most of the people that we have doing this, it's probably pushing more like 25 to 2,700. But the program itself is around 2,000. And then it's up to you really where you go. Looks like you said you're in the South. It could totally vary. So I don't want to give you solid prices because I don't know, but 3,000 is pushing it top for both the food, the seminar, and everything. That would be for everything. The program's not going to be under $2,000. That's typically without meals. It's like I think $2,000 to $2,200. Remember, it's all about where you are, the cost of sending out mailers. So all of that is kind of built into that price. So that's why I can't give you solid things. A lot of times it's a more of an average or a range because mailers in Pennsylvania might be totally different than mailers in Utah, or California to Florida, or crazy places like New York, right? New York and Florida are always just different than the rest of the country. So, but we always say the range is between 2,000 to 3,000, and if you're going to offer the meals, it's probably 2,500 to 3,000, depending on the meal. So, but like I said, from a return on investment standpoint, I think it's one of the best things that we do. I think people are just tired of sitting inside, right? And they're tired of COVID, and they want to get out and about. And there's nothing like getting a free meal and learning, right? So, but look, let's end there. If you need any of my contact information or sales or anything, on our website, if you go to About, contact our team. This is going to have every single person in the office. It's going to have all of their extensions, all of their social medias, and all of their emails. So if you need to reach out to anybody here, you can certainly do that. Sometimes I know you talk to someone and you forget. Here's their picture. Here is myself, as well as all of my contact info. So if you have any questions on anything that I can help you with, a lot of the times if you're talking lead programs, you do want to work with the sales directors, because I know that they're always doing different things like co-op, where we pay some, you pay some, and things like that. It all depends on your situation and if you're under an agency and what they do. And there's a lot of, variables and factors. So a lot of times I'd say you start talking with the sales directors, but if you need to know generic information, I can always be happy to help. So with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go today. We went a little bit over what I thought, but, it was a great call. I love taking questions. And I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out of your day. Our number here at Pinnacle, it's 1-800-772-6881. My direct extension, 7701. So feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help. And, thank you. Have an excellent evening. And we'll definitely be doing this again shortly. Thank you, everybody.